And I realized that YouTube is the thing that gave me time freedom in my business. It's the thing that means I can knock off after lunch if I want to. I can work less when we travel because I'm never worried about lead generation anymore. It's this evergreen library of content that just keeps getting better and better and keeps sending me new warm leads on a regular basis. So I decided that was what business owners needed more than anything else. And so I went all in on that.
Welcome to the Agents of Change, the podcast experience you've been waiting for your entire marketing career. Search, social, mobile, AI, blockchain, and neuromarketing. These are the Agents of Change, and so are you. Digital marketing success awaits, and your transformation begins now.
Welcome to another episode of the Agents of Change podcast. This is a podcast that's built for owners and marketers of real-world businesses that are trying to figure out how to reach and engage more of your ideal customers online. My name is Rich Brooks. I'm your host. This is episode 609, powered by Flight New Media. This week, we're going to be diving into YouTube and how you can use this video sharing platform to build your business in just 90 minutes a week. Earlier this week, I was at the gym and one of the TVs had a news story on with a headline about YouTube being the most popular social media channel out there, even ahead of Facebook. I just went to confirm this fact, but I couldn't seem to find that news story. I did, however, find a very recent study on the topic that listed Facebook as number 1, WhatsApp as number 2, and YouTube coming in at number 3. However, it was pretty close. Facebook had just over 3 billion users, WhatsApp was right at 3 million, and YouTube had 2.7 billion. However, the monthly organic traffic told a different story that's going to be important to you. YouTube had more monthly traffic than Facebook and WhatsApp combined by 3x, and nothing else even came close. I know that when I watch YouTube, or I should say I watch YouTube more than any other streaming channel. It's on our living room TV, and then I watch how-to videos on my phone and tablet. And although most of the traffic on YouTube will never be for your business, when people are doing their informational and even transactional searches, YouTube can put you in front of your ideal customer. And unlike Facebook, it won't make you pay for it. Before we get to that, if you follow me or Agents of Change on social media, you may have seen some reels or shorts or vertical videos in your feeds. They usually are about 30 seconds or less. It pulls out some of the best quotes from our guests, and that almost rhymed. And it uses those dynamic captions at the bottom where each word lights up like some sort of podcast karaoke. A few people have asked how I get those done. And these days I'm using Descript, and I'm doing it all by myself. If you haven't used Descript yet, it's a powerful AI-powered audio and video editor that we use here at Flight and Agents of Change in a number of different ways. When it's time to put together the assets for this show, I simply take the Zoom recording that has the focus on the speaker, and I upload that to Descript. Then, in Descript's Repurpose menu, I click on Create Clips. I can choose to select a theme. For this week, I might choose YouTube or lead generation, or just let Descript's AI tool, which is called Underlord, determine what are the best, most interesting clips from the show. I have a visual template that I created, but there are plenty to choose from as well. You can select how many clips Underlord should choose and how long they should be approximately. Then I just go through the 10 or so clips and I find 2 or 3 that I like the best and hit publish. Sometimes I might do a bit of editing, and you can actually do the video editing just by changing the text. It's pretty crazy. But often I just hit download and they're ready to go. I was using a different tool for this feature, but when Descript rolled out this feature, I compared the two and Descript was the clear winner. There was no reason to keep the other tools, so I dropped it and saved $20 a month. Now, that's just one trick that Descript does. There are plenty more. And that's my AI field notes for the week, but I'll keep experimenting and sharing, so be sure to keep tuning in. Now, let's dive into how you can build your business with YouTube in just 90 minutes a week. My next guest is on a mission to make YouTube growth accessible to all entrepreneurs, no matter how busy they are. That means you. And there's no need to wait because his signature program helps you grow a channel in 90 minutes a week so you can start right now. If you're looking for a teaser to his YouTube acumen during your commute, your workout, or whatever you happen to be doing right now, well, you're in luck because today we're going to be looking at how to grow a YouTube channel for real world businesses like yours with Jerry Potter. Jerry, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Rich. I'm excited to be here.
So, how did you first get into YouTube, and when did you decide to make your thing helping other businesses grow via YouTube?
So in 2017, I was the chief marketing officer and creative director at an agency. And mainly we focused on social media strategy. And a lot of my friends that had small businesses, I was not yet an entrepreneur, were really struggling with social media. And so they'd ask me to coffee, they'd ask me to lunch, that kind of thing. And I, being a fan of food, I was like, sure, you can pick my brain over tacos. And so after a while, I realized it was the same questions over and over again. And I was not excited about writing a blog, even though that was a big thing at the time. And so I thought, oh, maybe I'll start a YouTube channel. And so it started honestly as a hobby on the side, just to see what would happen. And I was teaching, it was called 5-Minute Social Media. And I was teaching all of the social media networks to small business owners, basically how to get the most done with the least amount of time. Because as you know, when you work with clients and small business owners, there's only so many hours in the day. And at the time, all of the marketing advice on YouTube seemed to be as though you were a full-time social media marketer. So it took off after about 6 months. I was as surprised as anybody, and I continued along that path for a long time. But this year, I really started focusing on helping business owners achieve time freedom, for lack of a better word for it. And I realized that YouTube is the thing that gave me time freedom in my business. It's the thing that means I can knock off after lunch if I want to. I can work less when we travel because I'm never worried about lead generation anymore. It's this evergreen library of content that just keeps getting better and better and keeps sending me new warm leads on a regular basis. So I decided that was what business owners needed more than anything else. And so I went all in on that.
Well, I love the promise of that. It sounds fantastic, and we'll dive into that today. Now, you mentioned that you're here to help real world businesses, not influencers, with YouTube. And YouTube can feel overwhelming for many business owners and marketers, especially those, as you mentioned, who are wearing multiple hats. So why should a business that sells metal awnings or offers account services even consider investing their time in YouTube?
It's going to be a little bit different for every business. And I know we're going to go through some real world examples here in just a second. But ultimately, YouTube has some great things going for it. It's been around now for over 20 years, which is crazy to think. But channels are growing faster than ever because YouTube's algorithm over the last couple of years, thanks to AI, is able to match up the right viewer with the right video. They've always wanted to do that, but they used to rely on keywords and descriptions and things like that. But now the AI is so smart, it can see what the video is about, who it's for, the tone, the context. They can see what you say in your video, what you show in your video, all of those different things. So now videos can get views faster than they used to. Another reason is YouTube is where people are going for solutions that they can't get from ChatGPT. So I know a lot of people are worried right now about my SEO is dying. My blog is not getting the traffic that it was anymore. But I get thousands of views a month from ChatGPT sending people to my YouTube channel. And I still think we're a few years off from AI being able to generate the video tutorial for you, if that's even coming. And so things that require a visual or just things that people want to hear somebody say instead of reading it are great for YouTube. And I think the biggest thing to think about is when people think about YouTube, they think, okay, well, it's just like Instagram or Facebook. I got to start publishing content every day or every week or whatever that might be. But I want to reframe how people look at YouTube. I've done Facebook, I've done Instagram, I've done all of them. And you're feeding the machine forever. On YouTube, you are building an evergreen library of content. And to put that into context, if I go in at any time to my YouTube analytics and say, okay, how many of all the videos I've ever made have gotten viewed in this month? Now, I've been making videos since 2017, and on average, about 85% of them have been viewed in the last 28-day rolling period. So I started my channel the first year, it was August of 2017. I got about 1,100 views in that 4.5 months. And then the next year I got 300,000. And the next year I got 900,000. And the next year I got 1.2 million. So what happens is your old videos get watched and your new videos get watched. And that's what makes it so powerful.
I love that. I love the idea of evergreen content. As somebody who has learned to do woodworking by watching YouTube videos, yes, once I find a creator who I like, I end up going backwards in time and seeing what else he or she has created as well. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I have a video I put out in 27. It was December of 2017. It's like 5 social media writing tips. It got, I think, 19 views in its first month, and it's getting 500 views a month now, 8 years later. So
nice.
That's the power of YouTube.
All right. You teased it up a little bit earlier. We are going to be taking a look at 2 real world style businesses and kind of walking through your process so we can understand how a business like that can succeed. So the first business sells and installs bathroom remodeling products like shower wall panels, bathtubs, shower doors and enclosures, that sort of things. And in this example, this is a company that's got a geographic footprint. It's not everywhere in the United States. So making it even more challenging for you, Jerry, because, we're putting you on the spot here. So let's just kind of go through some of the points. So how do we train, if this is our business and we're jumping into YouTube with both feet, how do we train the YouTube algorithm to understand who our audience is?
So when we're looking at the 90 minutes a week thing, the first thing that I had to do when figuring out how to show people how to do this in 90 minutes a week is you have to ignore a lot of the shiny bells and whistles on YouTube. And we just do the things that have what I call the highest ROE, return on effort. And so that's going to come down to starting with training the algorithm, as you mentioned. So yes, you can put up videos, and YouTube is smarter than it's ever been at matching them to viewers. But if you have a channel that is about different topics, then it's much harder for it to do that. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to publish a series of videos that help the same person solve the same general problem. And you can do this on an existing channel or a new channel. So the idea is that then YouTube can easily understand who this stuff is for. And I'm talking very specific. So I told you my channel was originally Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. But the problem was somebody who came for a Facebook video one week was not necessarily going to come back for a LinkedIn video the next week. So we really want to get specific, helping one person with the same thing to create these binge sessions. And so the training I call the Magnetic 8. First thing we're going to do is we're going to do, basically, I like to use ChatGPT, but you could use any platform to do a deep research project on your ideal customer or client. What are they thinking about? What are they worrying about? And if you've never seen it before, it'll go out, it'll read Reddit, it'll read Quora, it'll read public Facebook groups, and it'll find out the things that I like to say are keeping them up at night. So if we were going to, and I don't own a bath fitting or shower fitting company, but if we were going to use that as an example, I would think about you'd be doing research and finding out the things that they're worrying about in a bathroom remodel, for example. So, for example, should I replace my tub, or should I just do a new install over it? And how much does a bathroom remodel really cost? How can I save money on that? How do I pick the right contractor? Different things like that. And so for the bath, are we calling them a bath fitting company? Is that what you said, or shower fitting?
Sure. Well, I think bathroom remodeling products. So they sell bathroom remodeling products, and those bath covers, shower walls, all those sorts of things are all. And this is new to me too. This is just a business that actually exists in the real world. And Yeah, I love it. So we would start with that, and we would literally look at what are the questions that they're asking, but not just the how do I, more of the things that they're worried about. YouTube is all about getting that click. I think they say now only 20% of views come from search. We still want the search views too, but we're going to start off training by the things that the right person's going to click on, because that's going to train YouTube's algorithm, who those people are. And so I call it the Magnetic 8. We publish 8 videos specifically around that in order to start. When you say around that, Jerry, sorry to interrupt, but when you say around that, are we talking about around that buyer persona that we kind of developed, or around that specific, whether it's a bathtub fitting versus shower walls versus any other type of bathroom modeling? What is the focus of those 8 videos?
Without doing the actual research for this business, I would say it's specifically what are the questions? Like, imagine somebody is 90 days away from deciding to invest money in updating their bathroom. Then they would be thinking about, like, what are the questions they're thinking about and worrying about? That's where I would start. So, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So that's where we would start. And then within that, we also do, let me talk about the local business thing, because that's important too. This is more of a mindset shift than anything. Some people say, well, it's not worth investing on YouTube because I can only serve within a 50-mile radius, for example. And I would encourage people to kind of think about this in 2 ways. One, if it still brings you local customers, then who cares? Right?
Right.
And two, there's always these secondary benefits. When you start talking about your thing on YouTube, you become seen more as an expert. You might be able to refer people in other markets to somebody else and maybe get a commission from that. You might be able to link to remodel products in an affiliate program on Amazon or any of these other ones and make money that way. That's secondary. But even if you are only targeting locally, you still become known as the go-to expert for that in your area. So I think that's important. So we start by training the algorithm. The second thing that we want to do is we want to obviously find a way to turn these into leads. And with YouTube, a lot of businesses think traditional lead magnet, oh, download our free guide or different things like that. I look at it a little differently because on YouTube, people tend to land on YouTube. They are impatient sometimes. They're looking for a quick fix. They do not know, like, and trust you yet, hopefully, because we want new people. And yet sometimes people are like, all right, download our 97-page guide and you can go get it. And it's totally free. And they talk about it for 30 seconds in the video, and then people shut the video off. So what I recommend is something that I call a need magnet. It is need-based as opposed to, oh, that'd be nice to have. And it is also something you can pitch in 5 to 8 seconds. We don't want our freebie or our lead generator to tank our watch time on YouTube, or YouTube will stop showing people the video. So an example for this business, I would think, would be something like how to save $10,000 on your bathroom remodel or something like that. Just knowing that obviously some of these install overlay products save you a ton of money, right? Who doesn't want to save $10,000 on their bathroom remodel? And I made that number up, and you start seeding that in every single video. And that would be sort of that second part of that. And then the last part of it is, once you kind of train the algorithm, you would start making, I think, easy tutorials like that are also bathroom related, how to replace a faucet, as well as, story-based videos, something like see how we modernized this 1980s bathroom for under $2,000 or $1,500 or whatever the numbers work out to be.
So if we're creating these different styles of video, some being specifically around that magnetic gate, others being adjacent to bathroom stuff, maybe we're not even selling this stuff, but we're just kind of, I guess, training the algorithm, training people like we are the bathroom experts in this particular case. Do we go, I assume the answer is yes, but do we go into our analytics to start to see what type of these content formats worked best? Like, are we starting to take a look at a certain point and saying like, these perform better, or these are getting more links to my website, whatever it may be, I'm going to create more of them? Or do we kind of ignore that and just keep on cranking out in all the different categories?
Oh, no. Yeah. If you start seeing winners, you immediately double down on that. In fact, one of the hardest parts about YouTube is you see a video take off and you're like, oh, we got to make another one like that. But you've batched and you've already scheduled your next 3 videos. So yeah, that's one of the things we're kind of doing. So the Magnetic 8 serves a couple of purposes. One, it's to train the algorithm, but it's also to have videos on your page all the time that are answering the questions that keep your customers up at night. So it's not just about the views that they're getting in that moment in the beginning. On an ongoing basis, they basically take somebody who's thinking about investing to investing with you.
All right. Can you give us any advice for this mythical company in terms of tactics around like editing or thumbnails, or what we should be thinking about when we're writing out the scripts?
Yeah. So one of the things with YouTube in 90 minutes is, again, we have to make some sacrifices. We can't obsess over editing. We can't spend 10 hours, for example, editing a video. That being said, it doesn't mean you still can't put out quality. So we focus on a couple of things with this. One, you're going to focus on the quality of the script more than the editing for a couple of reasons. One, what you say in your video is going to be way more valuable than anything that came from fancy editing. YouTube did a big study last year to see what led to viewer satisfaction from people. And they didn't just ask people, they actually connected sensors to their brains to monitor the pleasure centers or whatever it is while they were watching the video. And the thing that resonated more than anything else was an emotional connection with the person on the screen. Now, how do you add emotion when somebody's talking about installing a faucet or something like that? Valid objection to that. But really, that's, first of all, why we make videos that are talking about the things they're worried about, because there's already an emotional component. And if you solve the problem for the person on the screen, that satisfaction, that, oh, wow, this works, this was easy to follow, they're going to be very, very happy about that. But what they found was that adding jump cuts, fancy editing, B-roll, all of this other stuff meant nothing to viewer satisfaction. The only time it made a difference is if it helped with the emotional resonance. So if you were doing an emotional shower install video and you had a musical score, for example, maybe that would help. But otherwise, it's just all about them feeling like, wow, this was great. This was helpful. This made me smile. This made me satisfied. So we kind of let go of some of the fancy editing to really make that happen. If you're going to put time into something, put it into the structure of the script.
All right. So you mentioned earlier that only 20% of the views come from search, and the other 80%, I assume, are coming from, or approximately, are coming from people seeing like the related videos or things like that. Is that the case? So usually because I spend a lot of time on YouTube, when I'm looking at it on my desktop, I see all of the related or suggested videos. And obviously some of those pop a little bit more than others. So that, in my opinion, comes down to the thumbnail. How much energy should we be putting into the thumbnail? Is there a current best practices that you're recommending for all of our videos, or is it depends kind of situation?
There's definitely some it depends to it, which I know is the most annoying answer to every question, but the thumbnail is really important. They say that, let's say you put 10% more effort into your thumbnail and it got 10% more clicks. That's not going to lead to 10% more views. It will lead to like 400% more views, because it's this cycle where YouTube shows your thumbnail and title somewhere. And that's an impression. And then when somebody clicks on it, that's your click-through rate. Then as somebody watches a decent part of it, so they're satisfied, then it goes back around and YouTube gives you more impressions on the front end. So it is a really important piece. As far as best practices go, this is the biggest thing that you can do I think there's two main things you can think about with thumbnails to start. One is somebody should at least have an idea that the video is for them without having to even see your title. So for example, let's say that I was making a video. Well, let's stick with our current example. If I was making something about bath fitting and the thumbnail was a picture of me and the text said, how to save money, well, nobody can tell what that's about, right? But if it was a picture
could be for college, could be for anything, right?
Yeah. But if the picture was money going down a bathtub drain, for example, or even just a picture of a shower head, somebody's going, oh, I'm thinking about remodeling my bathroom. That catches my eye. So that's one thing I like to really focus on with thumbnails, is just something so they know it's for them. When I made videos about podcasting, I made sure there was a microphone on there. I work with a client who, this was a challenging one, teaches French to Swedish-speaking women. They don't know French yet, so we couldn't put French words on the thumbnail. So we put on like images of the Eiffel Tower or the French flag, or the word bonjour, something that they would all know, in Swedish, of course. And so that's one thing. The second thing, though, is you just want them to read your title. That's your biggest goal, is create curiosity so someone will actually read your title. So if you were doing let's say the video was called how we remodeled a 1980s bathroom for under $1,500. I think that was the example I gave. Then the thumbnail might be a photo of the 1980s bathroom, or one that you generated with AI. And the text might say something like, we saved $2,000 or something along those lines. So then somebody's like, oh, they say, wait, what is this? What is this about? Or, obviously with remodels, before and after photos are always great.
All of that makes sense. I'm still a little bit hung up on the guy who decided his ideal buyer persona were Swedish women. And had I had that idea when I first started my business, I might be in a completely different industry. All right. I think we've given enough attention and time to the bathroom remodeler. Let's pretend that we're running a digital agency, right? And we're doing branding work and web design work, and we're doing marketing work. So let's go through the same process. If I wanted to start a channel on that today, what would I start with to start training up the algorithm and these other things that we've covered so far?
So the first thing that I would start with would be a little bit different with a digital agency. And I would actually create content. Well, I would do the deep research project again, because this is just a great, easy, free starting point. You can even do this on a free ChatGPT account now to find out the things that are keeping them up at night. But I would look for topics that were topics somebody would ask when they are maybe within 6 months of outsourcing or hiring an agency. So we're thinking like bottom of funnel for a lot of this stuff, just like we did with the bathroom remodeling. So some I would just be blatant, like why cheap agencies end up costing you more in the long run, or agency versus freelancer, which should you start with, something like that. And then also some stuff too that, where they're worrying about like if they're running Facebook ads, why your Facebook ads aren't working and how to fix them without spending more. something like that. So when we add that stuff in, then we're speaking to somebody who is currently marketing their business. They're spending money, right? That's why I chose a Facebook ads example. So they're willing to spend money, as opposed to the person who's just like, well, I'll just make 5 Instagram posts a day and see what happens. So we're looking bottom of funnel for those people. So that's where I'd start with them. And then after that, I would branch out to more general tutorials with case studies. Case studies, the word case study is a very boring word, right? Unless somebody's like ready to invest in a $10,000 product, it just doesn't sound interesting. But if you could start making videos that are case studies about this agency's clients, where it's like how they or how I or how we, like that stuff does really well on YouTube because the curiosity is so high. You can make a video about how to save money on your Facebook ads, and it's like, oh, well, I can ask ChatGPT that. But if it was how we cut our ads budget by $10,000 and doubled our sales, you can't Google that. You can't ask ChatGPT that. So that would be that next phase to go with. And one more thing I think too, like you said, you're talking about web design and maybe social media, all these different things that an agency does. I would recommend going all in on solving like one major problem for businesses to start. And I would just do that for a while because the algorithm will understand you better. And that problem could be growing your audience or generating leads, but they're going to understand it better. And then once you've established that, if it's going well, maybe you don't change it and you just go, hey, we're getting leads, who cares? Or then you maybe branch out and start to give out web design tips or other things like that.
So let's say that is the issue. So like a lot of agencies, you might offer multiple solutions. And this isn't just true with agencies, it's really any service-based company. So like you said, we focus on just one. And in this case, maybe we just focus on web design and we set branding and digital marketing aside for right now. But there will come a point where we may want to expand into that. Do we set up a second channel for that? Do we start creating playlists around these different topics? How might we approach integrating a secondary or a tertiary or even 10 more offerings into the mix?
Yeah, excellent question. The official answer from YouTube is if it's the same audience, put it on the same channel. That being said, depending on your business model, if I was an agency, I would do something slightly different than what I'm doing right now. So in my business now, I'm only posting stuff about YouTube. It includes video editing, but it's all about growing a lead generating channel for entrepreneurs. Because I want people to come back every week, or at least come back every week until they buy something. If I was an agency model and I was offering these different services and I had a team and different things like that, in that case, I would start with one thing like we said, but then I would start to add new stuff, but I would keep it on the same channel. And the difference is once somebody hires you as an agency client, they're not likely to keep going and watching your channel, right? They hired you, right, so they don't have to do that. So I think that's where that's a subtle difference, but I think it makes a big difference in the long run. So that's how I would do it. Running more than one channel is just a lot more work. And even if you've got your system streamlined, it's a lot more mental energy to just think about. Like imagine if you had one that was about websites and you had one that was about sales conversions, and then you wanted to make a video about how to get more sales from your website. And you're like, okay, which channel do I put this on? Like that alone, all of a sudden is just extra mental work.
Absolutely. I'm also curious about, we talked before we started recording about whether or not this was going to be a video or not. And obviously we've got all of this content because we've been doing these on Zoom and other platforms over the years. If I or anybody who's creating audio or video content like this wants to kind of put this content up on YouTube, do you have recommendations for how to do that? If we've got a backlog of content, do we dump it all at once? Do we start putting up, if we've got a couple of years worth of content, do we start just putting it up on a more aggressive scale, like once a week or once every third day or something, so we get that content up over time?
I would start by looking at the content and really deciding if it's valuable or not. One of the things that I'd heard for years when I'd start working with somebody on YouTube is like, yeah, I just been uploading my Facebook Lives there every week and I'm not growing. And so while YouTube is probably the best content dumping playground in the world because you can just put it, a lot of people just use it as a place to host their videos for free. That's not where I would start. I would really think about whether or not they need to be on there. And if they are perfect for YouTube, even just for your own peace of mind, I would probably start off just scheduling them out. I would say if you had a lot of content, you could schedule maybe 3 a week to start, but 2 is fine. One is kind of the minimum that I recommend for getting going, because that's how YouTube is going to learn exactly what you do and how you're helping everybody. So that's how I would approach it. There's no reason to put up 200 videos at once if they're all relevant and could work well on YouTube. I would spend more time dripping them out and then working on your thumbnail and your title at that point.
Makes sense. So for those of us who may have longer form content, either because we've got a podcast or a video show that we're going to put up to YouTube, or we do webinars. And so we've got a 45-minute webinar and stuff. And I've gone to plenty of things on YouTube where I see it's got like 6 views. And God knows I have a few of those myself where I just did something. I'm wondering about the editing process, or should we consider pulling shorts from those and using the YouTube shorts to drive traffic to the longer form video? Have you had any experience with that?
I have experience with it. I haven't had any success with it. What YouTube has found in all of their, what they've found in all of their, I've had some success with it. Let me come back to that in a second. What YouTube has found in all of their content, or in all of their studies, is that shorts viewers and long viewers, or as they call them, videos on demand, VOD viewers, are not necessarily the same viewers. So some businesses have started a shorts channel and a VODs channel so that they're sort of separate and they can each find their own audience. Now you can put up a YouTube short and you can link to a long form video within that, which is really neat. I do think it's going to get better, but you know what it's like. When you open your phone, if you open YouTube, you're either thinking, I'm going to swipe through some shorts while I'm in the checkout line, or I'm going to look up something or watch something longer, maybe on my TV. It's not the same thing. You don't just open your phone and go, all right, am I going to watch shorts or VODs today? So that's been the struggle. But as I said, you can link them up. YouTube is actually rolling out some new AI features where it will take your long form videos and it will automatically cut out pieces of it and make it into a short, and then you can approve it or make a couple of edits and then publish it. So they want more content, obviously. So as it gets easier, maybe it becomes worth it. I don't feel like shorts are worth it for business owners right now, simply because of the trust factor. Who's going to hire you after 60 seconds? Nobody. And so, but I will say, you mentioned podcasting, a couple things around that. One, when I was really focused on growing my audio podcast, I recorded video and I pulled out shorts and I published them as shorts and reels. And I did get people who would see the reel on Instagram, go and listen to the podcast and become a client. I also got people who saw the reel on Instagram, went to my profile, went to my website, watched a webinar, became a client. So it all works. But if we're really thinking about that ROE, it's just not the lowest hanging fruit for that.
Jerry, there's a lot of YouTube experts out there. What is one thing that you hear from a lot of other experts that you just completely disagree with?
Oh, I sort of gave it away already, but shorts aren't worth the time.
I love it. That's a good one. Yeah.
They're just not, because what I found was I did some brand deals where, and this is one of those perks when you grow a bigger channel, is people will sponsor your channel then. And I was like, okay, I've got to add more value. Agency owners can relate to this, or any service provider are like, we'll throw in this and we'll throw in this. So I was like, I'll make a long form video, which is my bread and butter, and we'll do 2 shorts, and then I'll email my list. And a good short to me is just as much work as a long form video. But the majority of them die within a couple of weeks, just like an Instagram or a Facebook reel or a TikTok. And meanwhile, like I said, 85% of my long form videos that I've ever made have been seen in the last month. And so that's where it's just not worth investing the time. It's a very shiny object. They feel good. Some of my clients go, I posted a short, I got 300 views. And it's like, cool, then what? Oh, I don't know. I got 300 views. You didn't get any leads. You can't have links in shorts. Like, there's just so many limitations there. It's just a different model.
It feels like maybe shorts are the Polaroid pictures of the YouTube world. Instant gratification and then in the drawer for the next 20 years.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. And I think they're good for influencers and creators, perhaps on that side, but not for business owners.
Jerry, this has been great. If people want to learn more about you and your services and maybe get some help on their own YouTube growth, where can we send them?
You can certainly search for my name, Jerry Potter, on YouTube, and it should come up. And then if you want to learn more about YouTube in 90 minutes, my system is called the YT90 system. And if you go to YT90roadmap.com, there's sort of a thing you can get for free that really maps out how to do this strategically in less time.
Awesome. Jerry, it's been great. Thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Rich.
That was some great stuff from Jerry. If you missed anything, or if you just want to listen again, you can do so at our website at theagentsofchange.com/609. You'll find the audio, you'll find the transcript, you'll find the show notes, you'll find a blog post about everything that I learned from my conversation with Jerry, and all the links that he shared with us. As I think back on that conversation that I had with Jerry, I think one of the big takeaways is that you can keep on running on the social media hamster wheel, chasing likes that disappear in 24 hours. Or you can start building a library that works for you while you sleep. I think you should choose the asset that grows over time, start filming the answers that your customers need, and go be that agent of change.
Don't miss another thrilling episode of the Agents of Change podcast. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform.